So I've been in Argentina now for about 2 days and just want to give a quick update with as to what I'm actually doing and what I'm up to currently. So I'm on the Australian offer, as I sort of mentioned on the other video. That's essentially doing lead gen for tradies. So think like plumbers, roofers, bathroom renovations, solar installations, those type of people. And we help install predictable lead gen systems to help them make more sales, increase revenue, increase profit, all that sort of thing. So currently on that role, I've got my schedule open from 6 p.m. EST till about 2 a.m. EST. So that's about 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time to 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And that's what we're currently doing in regards to that. Now the offer itself, it's good. It's a good offer. The problem with that offer is that the archetype that we're currently going after, which is tradies, a lot of them are typically on their site, so like on the actual job doing the work. So when it comes time for their meeting, because typically they aren't in front of the computer, like they're running late or they're still stuck on the job site, whatever it is, a lot of them no show or just reschedule because they know they're not going to be in front of a computer. Now that's become quite an issue because even on days where I have 5 or 6 calls in the calendar, a lot of them no show or just reschedule because of that issue. So essentially what I brought up to the offer owner or the founder of that company was we could just try for a week, 2 weeks, just doing phone calls, because even if they're on the job site, we can still do the sales call. So that's essentially the solution to that problem, because when at this point in time, if I'm staying up till 2 a.m. over here in Argentina, I don't want to be staying up for half of my calendar not even showing up to the call. So that's the solution we proposed to that. But in the long term vision, because that's not sustainable, staying up to 2, 3, 4 a.m. taking calls, what I want to do is transition onto an Eastern Standard Time offer, so like a US based offer, so that one, I can be on a normal sleeping schedule, and two, my earning capability is more, because when it goes into my currency, which is Australian dollars, it ends up being 1.55x. So if I'm making the same amount of money selling the same type of thing, but I'm just changing the currency, then it just 1.5x is my income automatically. So I've been focusing on content for Twitter, and also I'm going to be focusing on content for YouTube so that I can expand my network so more people know about me, so that I always have a consistent flow of offers coming in, even if I don't need them. Because the thing is that if you're relying on one offer and that goes to shit and you need to find a new offer, there's going to be a big down period where you can't actually earn any money, and you don't want to be in that situation. You want to have a constant flow of offers if things do go to shit, because the marketing shits the bed, something happens with the founder, ad accounts get banned, and if that's the situation, you don't want to have like 2 to 3 weeks where you have no calls in the calendar. So you always want those flow of offers. So that's why I'm focusing so heavily on personal brand, and not only to get more offers, but it helps me be able to connect with a lot of people where typically the door would be shut. Like those doors open up because they see that I'm documenting my journey, they respect the journey, they see what I'm doing. So a lot of those people just connect with me naturally because they can appreciate the fact that, I might not have the results that they do, but they can see the hunger, they can see the determination. So I just want to document that journey because I'm essentially starting from zero. So essentially I'm looking for those types of offers. I've already got lined up about 2 to 3 interviews. And here's another thing, guys. If you're interviewing for different roles, ideally you want to have multiple different interviews, because you want to come off detached. Like even if you really want the role, if you have 4, 5, 6, 7 different interviews in the pipeline, even if you don't get one, it's not really going to matter to you because you have a bunch. If you only have 1 interview or 2 interviews, you might be able to hide it for a little bit, but they're going to sense the desperation coming from you. Like they'll be able to sense that you really need this job. And just like anything, like say for example, if you're really chasing a girl, really desperate, constantly bombarding her with messages, like coming off really needy, then that pushes her away. And it's the same with when you're going for a job and across all aspects of life. So you want to be in a scenario where you have a good flow of offers, you have a good amount of options, and then that way you can make the best decision based on what you're looking for. And what I'm typically looking for in an offer is, one, do they have proven systems already, or am I going to have to come in and actually build those systems out? Ideally, you want them already have those systems in place. You ideally want an established sales team in place so that they already have a few salespeople in there, so you can have reference points as to how much they're making and like what the potential is of that role, and then you can use that as competition to when you do come in to compete with them and improve on what they're already currently doing. And another thing is like the founder you're working with. Do you get along with the founder? Because you don't want to be working with people who you don't enjoy working with. Because if you see this as a long-term thing, even if the money's good and you don't like the founder, well, that's not going to be sustainable. And if you're playing the long game like you should be playing, you want to be surrounded by people that are like-minded. And that's the main thing for me. Even if necessarily those first ones that I mentioned, like the proven sales team, like a bunch of sales reps, if those things aren't in place, I will still override that if the founder is a great person. Because especially if you're starting from zero and like the earning potential is maybe not that good, if that person has a lot of knowledge and a lot of skills that you could soak up from them or that person, then I'll just take the role just to be able to build those skills up. But at the stage I'm at, like I've built a lot of skills from doing the agency stuff. I wouldn't say I'm perfect, but I've definitely built a lot of skills. So I might be a bit more lenient on whether I just have that as a deciding factor as to whether I take the role. Now that's essentially what's going on in my world at the moment. So that's just a quick update. I wanted to tell a quick story as well. So the day that I got to Argentina, my friend, he was at like with his mates, they were watching the UFC, and like I got to Argentina about midnight. So by the time we ended up linking up, it was about 1:32 a.m. like Argentina time. So that would have been about midnight for EST. So anyways, because I didn't have any credit or data on my phone, I essentially had to come up to the apartment where we're staying and use the Wi-Fi. And I was conversing with my mate Jacob, and he was setting up the Uber. Uber was having issues, wasn't accepting my debit card or my credit card, wasn't accepting his either. So I ended up booking me one with cash, and the Uber comes downstairs and he messages me, oh, the Uber's just around the corner. I essentially run downstairs, and when I ran downstairs, I had no Wi-Fi because, as I mentioned, I don't have any data on my phone. He had sent me, like Jacob, my mate, he had sent me the number plate and the car model of the car that was going to be picking me up, and I went downstairs. So I'm waiting for 5 minutes, looking around, head on a swivel, because I'm in a country that I don't really know, don't really speak the language, so just, staying aware of my surroundings. Anyways, 5 minutes pass, and like a banged up car rocks up. Dude looks sketchy as fuck. And so I just walk around to the back, really curious, and I look at the number plate, and I was like, looking at my phone, okay, that's not the same car. Go to walk away, and the guy's like, Jacob, which is my mate who booked the Uber for me. And I walk back to the Uber, and I'm like, it's for Jacob? And he's like, si. Anyways, I hop in the car, and I was trying to have a conversation with him as we're sort of going towards the route, and he didn't really speak any English, apart from yes and no. So essentially, I asked him like how long, like how I went like this to him, because he obviously didn't understand English. So I asked him like, how long is it going to take? And he went like this, like 7 minutes. 7 minutes passes, asking me again, how long is it going to take? It's like 5 minutes. I'm like, 5 minutes passes. So at this point we're up to 12 minutes. And then he goes, 4 minutes after the 12 minutes. So at this point we're at 16 minutes. And I'm thinking, before I left, I checked the map, and the trip was supposed to be like an L shape like this in order to get to the destination that we're going to. But throughout that initial 16 minutes that we'd been driving, he had been going like this, taking all these random streets, and the longer the drive got, or the longer we had been driving, the more sketchier the streets got. So at my point, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, when I searched this up, this is supposed to take 10 minutes. Now we're up to 16 minutes, and he keeps extending the time frame. So automatically I start getting paranoid. I'm like thinking I'm going to get kidnapped. So what I did is I reached over, undid my belt quietly so that he didn't like hear anything. And then I had my hand like this underneath my elbow so he didn't see my hand. And then I essentially, because it was an old car, I grabbed the lock and I pulled it up, but I had my elbow covering it so you couldn't see it in the rearview mirror. And I said to myself in that moment, I was like, well, if he extends the timeline one more time, at the next opportunity I get, I'm opening this door and I'm sprinting. Because at this point, like I just landed, didn't really speak much English, had only slept 2 hours. So I was thinking the worst in this scenario. I started thinking about all the possibilities that could go down and what I would do in those situations. But anyways, after he said the last 4 minutes, so essentially it ended up taking us 20 minutes for a 10-minute trip, we got to our destination. We pulled up, and even though we had stopped, he's like, and pretty much signaled that we're here, my head was still in a swivel, because I wasn't sure if he was like taking me to his friends and there was like a setup or anything like that. But my friend came downstairs, and when I saw him, is the biggest sigh of relief ever. Because up until that point, until I actually saw my friend and like made eye contact with him, I thought that it was a situation where I was getting set up or I was getting kidnapped because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I guess the the lesson from that is just to make sure that I actually learn the native language, which is Spanish, so that I can actually have a conversation with him. Because that's the thing, like he was saying a bunch of things throughout, and I didn't really understand what he was saying. And the thing that sketched me out as well was I leaned over the middle glove box, and when I looked, he was like he didn't even have a map up to where we were going. He was messaging someone on WhatsApp in obviously Spanish. So I was just like, oh, does this dude even have a map to where we're going? And it also was amplified by the fact that he was taking all these back streets that look so sketchy. But anyways, yeah, that's essentially what happened. Pretty funny story. I'll keep pumping these out, sort of updating you with where I am in terms of the journey, when I make sales, the lessons I'm learning, what I'm doing, all that sort of stuff. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them over and I'll answer them in the next video. But yeah, if you want to keep up to date, Twitter, Instagram, I post on those more frequently, especially Twitter. But yeah, that's where you can find me. The links are in the description. I'll see you in the next video.